Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson, and we have a handful of really good questions from inside the Red Bear subscribers. So let's dive right into them. First one comes from Salado. He wants to know about preferred walk-on Adam Hill. He says, how has he been doing, and do I expect he'll see any playing time this season other than maybe on special teams? First off, yeah, Adam Hill has been impressive. He has good size to him, 6'1", 215, but he's built solidly. He has definitely stood out more than I would say the average preferred walk-on to me. Maybe that's because he's playing running back, and I tend to, notice that position. But no, I think he's played really well. Every drill I've seen him perform in, he's held up. He does not look like a true freshman walk-on. That being said, obviously you have an All-American as the starter. You have some other very talented guys vying for snaps. So I don't think Adam Hill will get significant playing time at running back this year, and he may not even stay at running back. Even Salado mentioned that he thought he might play linebacker. And Joey McGuire, head coach Joey McGuire, said earlier this year or this fall camp that part of the reason why Adam Hill was, in the running back room was to kind of balance out those two rooms because there's a lot of linebackers, and they needed somebody with his size to hold up, if he was forced into action in pass protection. And he definitely has shown, especially for a true freshman, capability to do that. So I really like Adam Hill. I think there's a chance, hopefully, he hangs at Tech and they could keep him and all that moving forward because he looks like he's going to be a player wherever they play him. I'm not saying he'd be your starting running back, but he could definitely be a secondary option and a third down type back or an H back kind of dude. And then, of course, I'd like to see him at linebacker because I know that's where they originally projected him to play at. But Adam Hill's looked really good. He definitely looks like he belongs. What a great pickup for Texas Tech. Raider Football 86 says, what freshman, not named Micah Hudson, will make the biggest impact on this year's team? Yeah, for me, at least going into the season, that's a pretty easy answer. I think that's Cameron Dicky staying at running back. First off, they need somebody. They have Taj, who's going to get the bulk of the carries, of course. And then Cameron Valdez is a talented runner, but we'll have to see if he's what they want in terms of pass protection when somebody goes in for Taj. Cameron Dickey was here in the spring, and immediately coaches were raving about him. He looked really good early on in fall camp. Then he turned his ankle and has been out. That allowed another true freshman, Jacoby Williams, to step in and make a lot of plays. Now, he's more like Cameron Valdez, and then he's more of a home run hitter, quicker, lighter kind of player than a Taj or Cameron Dickey. But I do think Cameron Dickey, and I asked Coach McGuire about that just after the second scrimmage a couple of days ago, and the depth chart at running back, and he said that Valdez would be 2A and Dickey would be 2B. But I think if Dickey hadn't gotten hurt in camp, he would have overtaken, maybe not publicly, but at least in the minds of the coaches, that number 2 spot for sure. So watch out for Cameron Dickey, a true freshman running back. He's already about 215, 220, has good size to him, and can do a lot of the same things that Tosh could do, to be honest. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Tosh, but they're similar. They have a similar skill set. Texan 44 says, how would I rank Tech's top 5 most difficult games this season? And that's a great question. It's not a difficult schedule on paper, though. There's several quality opponents. There's not like I did the ESPN FPI, and Tech was favored in 8 of their 12 regular season games. And even in the 4 games where they were not favored, they had in each one of those games at least a 40% chance of winning that game, according to the FPI. So that's pretty good. I can't remember that ever being the case for Texas Tech, at least not since there's been an FPI published ESPN Football Power Index. But to answer your question, number 5, I would say West Virginia and Lubbock. I believe that's the regular season finale, just because they're a tough team in terms of they'll play smash mouth football. I do, Tech's favorite in that game will likely be favored. Who knows, 3 months from now. But going into the season, you would think they'd be favored at home, but still, I don't think that's a gimme. Number 4 at TCU. I don't know how good TCU is or is not going to be this year. Obviously, 2 years ago they went all the way to the national championship game, but last year they had a really tough season. We'll see if they can bounce back. But it's in Fort Worth. I know Tech fans, y'all will do your best to take over that stadium, and TCU will do their best to try and keep you from doing that. But I still think against an in-state rival on the road, that's a top 5 opponent. Number 3 and number 2, I kind of going back and forth. I'm going to say Iowa State, though it's in November. It's early November, but Iowa State on the road is number 3 for me. Um, they're kind of like TCU to me. Like, I know they've had uh, a pretty good amount of success here relatively recently, but haven't been as great here very recently. Be interesting to see exactly what Iowa State is, but they're always tough to play there in Ames in November. So I have them number 3. Arizona's number 2. Again, I could have switched them in Iowa State in my mind, but Tech went out there. I think it was 2019. And it wasn't a especially good Arizona team. It wasn't an especially good Tech team either. But Arizona really pushed Tech around. It was a night game out there in Tucson, and it was a tough game. So we don't know what time the game's going to be yet, but if it is a night game, that'll be a tough one. That's why I put them number 2. And of course, their talented quarterback. I know they have some changes there in that program, but they still have some talented players, and they have a couple of tough games before playing Tech. But again, they have some talent still on that roster. Uh, can be a tough place to play, especially at night. Number 1, to me, this is a no-brainer at Oklahoma State, and they return the majority of the roster. Obviously, they're running back. Alan Bowman's back for a 20th season or whatever it is now at quarterback. But it's a lot, offensive linemen, linebackers. They have some good DBs and a proven coach. So, and Stillwater is a tough place to play too, especially if that game has significance in terms of the Big 12 when they play. That's another November game. So, a lot of tough games in November, it looks like. But on paper, not a difficult schedule compared to what Tech has been used to. Tech Freak wants to know, do I think Baron Morton will make it through the whole season as the QB1 starter? Well, I sure hope so. Tech is due some luck in terms of quarterback health, but some of that is going to be on the offensive line, how well they hold up, the play calling with Zach Kelly, is he going to protect him some? And then Baron Morton, and this is something both he, Kitley, and McGuire both talked about, that not only has he been working to get better and be healthy and all that, which he does appear to be so, but he's been working on making better decisions in terms of protecting his body. So a lot of things need to happen for him to stay healthy. But, if you want me to say yes or no, I think the odds would have to be no. But I'm hopeful, but the worm's got to turn in terms of QB injury bug at some point, right? I mean, just odds also dictate that at some point they're going to have somebody be able to start the whole season and be healthy and all that. So I would like to see what Tech can do with a healthy Baron Morton all season. Final question comes from nasraer. He says, from what you have observed and heard, what do I expect from the offense this year in terms of run-pass ratio, opening it up vertically or conservative, more horizontally, passing game, and wide receiver tight end utilization? Well, the canned answer is they're going to do whatever the defense dictates, which honestly, philosophically, I don't really like. I get it also philosophically that they want to attack where the defense is weakest, take advantage of that. That's really like a strength of Kitley's offense, is the quarterback reading him and the quarterback reading the defense at the line of scrimmage, changing the play, getting a more advantageous play, and really striking there. It puts a lot on the quarterback. So obviously, the quarterback, going back to that question before, needs to stay healthy, but they want to be explosive. They brought in guys like Caleb Douglas, Josh Kelly, even Jalen Conyers, the tight end, with an idea of creating more explosive plays. And all those guys are capable of that. Offensive line's got to hold up. And in terms of a ratio run to pass, I mean, you got All-American in your backfield running back, but I still say it's going to be more like 70-30 or 65-35 pass to run, because it's Kitley comes from an air raid system. It's Texas Tech. They brought in all these shiny new toys at receiver. You have guys like Coy Aiken returning as well. And they believe they can do a lot in the passing game. I think they believe a lot of the defenses are going to be geared to shut down Taj, and then they're going to hit some big passing plays off that. They're still going to run screens. They're still going to have the horizontal passing game. I hope they run a lot of crossing routes. They do more of that than what we've seen in the past, and take advantage of that, because I think they got some guys like Josh Kelly and some tight ends like Mason Tharp and Jalen Conyers who could be really dangerous. Brady Boyd, that kind of dude. I think Coy Aiken too. All those guys can be Dre McCray, who I didn't mention yet, can be very dangerous in that regard. But no, they want to be explosive. They want to throw the ball around the yard, but they're going to give the ball to Taj. They better as well. And in terms of tight end utilization, they're a big. I do think they're going to be a big part of the passing game. I do, but I also think they're a huge part of the running game as well. They're going to be motioned around a lot, used as a lead blocker or kind of a trap. A lot of their counter game, they bring the tight end back over across the formation, and he's leading the way for usually Taj. So tight ends are going to be utilized a lot. They're a big part of the offense. I already mentioned Conyers in Tharp, but they really like John Carlos Miller, and I do too. Guy's a freak athlete. He's way better than I was expecting in terms of athleticism and all that. So watch out for him to maybe be a target at times as well in the passing game. So, well, that's going to do it for this edition. Man, we are just over a week away from kicking off the season. I can't wait. Really appreciate the questions from y'all. Also appreciate y'all watching. But until next time.